How's it going, everyone? And welcome to the trifecta, the trilogy episode of the Geek Inspired Podcast, the show that highlights how geek culture shapes people's lives. And this week's people's is the talented artist Ziyaad Rahman of Awali Comics. How are you doing, Ziyaad?
Hey, I'm doing really awesome here today. It's a beautiful day in Cape Town at the moment.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty warm here in PE as well. So let the people know who you are in this moment. What are you getting up to? What do you do?
Re-intro, I guess.
Yes.
I'm Ziyaad Rahman. I am the director, curator, and used to be writer, but also do the sketches and artwork now of Siri Watu, Descendants of Africa. I just learned, or not just learned, but a few months ago I learned to be one of South Africa's, if not South Africa's 81st Afro-Manga. If you don't know what it is, it's this little manga comic book.
Yeah, I mean, I'll also put my copy up because mine will be clearer.
Yeah,
I got two issues.
Yeah, issue 1, issue 2, and then I got issue 3 and 4 here as well. I'm not sure if you kind of just released at
No, I didn't get a chance to get it yet. I didn't get to go to Comic-Con, unfortunately, so I'll have to wait till I see you again, either at Connect or hopefully before.
Yeah, definitely. This year's experience with Connect was amazing, like hands down. Surprisingly, what's the word? Successful. So surprisingly successful to myself. When we went last year, we were in the smaller hall and a school, I think, in a gymnasium. I don't know if you were there last year.
I was there.
Yeah. This year we went to a bigger space, and I think we sold, either twice or thrice as much books when we were at Connect, and then the experience was also pretty awesome. It was amazing. Definitely going to see you next year.
Yeah. I did. I remember I met you 2 years ago. I was there because I recorded a video and you were in it at that time.
And I still some content.
Hey?
And I still some content.
I have. I'll just let the viewers know that I have read 2 of the issues of Siri Watu, and I do like it. I can't wait to read the next 2. And I actually think the chapters are too short. Not enough happens in it. I need like to read a whole volume at a time. But it's really good, and I can't wait for more stuff. So what was your like first experience with like geek culture, geekery, things that weren't in the mainstream, hobbies, that type of stuff?
Honestly, the experience to me has been quite insane. So I've not been doing this kind of world. I haven't been doing pretty long. And when I started entering the spaces last year, so I've been at about a year and a half now doing Siri Watu. And when we entered the space, I mean, we literally had experiences where people were breaking down and crying at what we were producing, and not like in a bad way, like, oh my God, this is but like in a way like, you created this work, this looks amazing, this reads amazing. I've had people come back and literally telling me after they've read all 4 books that they are so hungry for the next book. And that's just the experiences with Siri Watu on its own. That experience has been like amazing. The response has been amazing. Then we actually at the events to see how huge the geek is. I mean, I went to Comic-Con Africa, and so sad that he wasn't there. It's really awesome.
I just couldn't make it. I didn't have enough money to go there. And like by next year I'm hoping to get like, some revenue back and save up and stuff. But it's sad that I wasn't there because I just started up my content again. And it would have been like awesome, like I would have been able to get a lot of content in that time. But I mean, next year I'll hope, and then maybe we can record something in person like, instead of over the phone.
I want to see you there because we were there at Comic-Con Africa, and literally I wasn't realizing how like Also, I don't know how to explain it. Like we and my partner, we were only two people here for the whole weekend, which is really stupid of us because we couldn't experience everything ourselves.
Yeah,
But we had a
yeah,
chance to, I think, on Sunday morning walk around the convention. And one thing that made that convention really like an experience to like never forget was as we were walking through, I realized that there were so many additional things happening at Comic Con Africa. Like I don't know if you know Rage, the gaming
yeah. I know.
convention.
Yeah, Rage Expo. Yeah.
But what was cool about Comic Con Africa, maybe not as huge a focus like all of those things, but there was a whole wall basically just dedicated to like gaming and gaming systems and new games. And it was like I don't know if it was like a mini Rage on its own or like half of the size of Rage, which was so amazing to me that there were so many different type of geek and nerd kind of cultures in that space that
Mm.
I could have enjoyed, but didn't really have the time to. It was just mind blowing. I'll be honest with you. Oh, yeah, definitely have to come next year. But yeah, sorry. So when I was at Comic Con Africa, I realized how massive and now that inner geek and that love and that nerd for everything is massive in South Africa. And they're looking at numbers that are between 60 and 60,000 next year, possibly at Comic Con Africa. Like,
Jeez.
yeah, so sorry, that experience of the culture has just been like, I love it. That's my world. I didn't realize how much I was missing
Yeah.
it, honestly.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
it's cool that it's like becoming mainstream and like there's more people getting into it, so you can have more conversations with
mm,
people and like yeah, I mean we discussed this in the last two podcasts as well. Like it's just having access to so much stuff that we get to these days. Like it's mind blowing compared to like 10, 20 years ago where like you maybe got like one piece of merch like in 5 years that you found like randomly. You'd have to wait like for
yeah.
like cassette tapes of anime. Like like now you can just like
Oh,
a few
dude.
clicks and like I'm on Crunchyroll and I can watch anything on that site, you know. But back in the day, you know, it was an issue, like, you know, downloading stuff and whatever. So like what are your main like geekdoms right now, like in terms of what you consuming?
Oh, there's so many things. So although I do manga and Afro-Manga is very much influenced by anime,
Mm.
um, for the last 2 to 3 years, I haven't really been watching any anime until recently. We have finally got to finish Seven Deadly Sins.
Oh yeah, that
Like
one's nice, yeah.
until like we're that right now. I think it just came out on Netflix, and it really it came back to me how much I love anime
Yeah.
and how much I love that world. So I'm trying to get into like watching good anime again.
Mm.
I do need to catch up with Attack on Titans. I can't remember if I finished the second season. Um, what else? Then I watched like some things that other people might not enjoy. Like I watched The Flash, I watched Arrow.
Mm. Mm.
Um, I'm not caught up with Supergirl completely. This is gonna sound weird because I know a lot of people don't like this, but Legends of Tomorrow season three,
Yeah,
yeah, love
yeah.
that ending. If you haven't watched it or you have watched it, I love the ending of Legends of Tomorrow season 3. I just didn't see it coming. It was stupid. It was kind of
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
um.
I did used to watch the DC TV universe for a while, but I haven't like watched in the last. I usually like watch all of it in like one go, you know, like over the
Mm,
holidays. I don't like follow weekly. I like them,
mm,
but I feel like I mean the quality is like it's up and down, you know, like you don't get like
yeah, yeah.
like a constant quality. The consistency is not there, but it's fun overall.
Yeah,
That's why I
I
like to
do.
binge watch it because then I can
Yeah.
just be like, okay, I'm not feeling this episode. I'll just skip.
Mm,
That's why I like thing like Netflix, you know, instead of watching
mm,
things weekly. But overall, I mean, Arrow's pretty good. Flash is probably the best.
yeah.
The other one, Supergirl, I couldn't handle. I couldn't get into Supergirl. I don't think like I don't think
Complete
my
chaos.
culture mixes up with how Supergirl is portrayed. And Legends of Tomorrow is okay, but yeah, the quality in that is really that one's really wide. Like some episodes really good, other episodes are like trash. But overall, it's fine. Um, so
I, I agree.
How,
Yeah.
so when you were growing up, were these type of things that you were kind of involved in embraced or shunned, or did you have a nice community of people you could talk to about the type of stuff that you liked?
Didn't have that shunning, to be honest with you. There was pretty much embracing, although I was the only one that was in my class that was constantly growing and not paying attention to my homework and my math. So maybe my teacher shunned me. So didn't let me know homework
Mm.
and only do it. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't experience that really a negative experience with what I liked and enjoyed,
Mm.
aside from maybe like parents, teachers telling me to get back to the real world and to
Get back to
read.
the real world. But I mean, the real world's rough, eh? Like escapism
Oh, God.
is the only difference. Like other people escape in other ways. It's just our like our forms of reading comics or watching
Mm,
anime. It's just a new way. But
mm,
sport is a form, like an accepted form of escapism. You just don't realize it because it's been around for so long.
mm,
These other forms of content is
mm,
just escapism. That some people maybe take it too far, but that doesn't make it any less
mm,
like legitimate than any other forms of escapism, like sport or like
mm.
crocheting or like going bowling. Like it's generally all the same. Do you draw from anything like in these stories, artists or characters or storylines for your work? Like, what is there anything that inspires you from other media?
It's like it's a simple question, but it feels very
It's
complicated.
deep, yeah.
So one of the things that I try to do is, I mean, there's no such thing as original, completely original content. We're always
Yeah,
inspired by something, or we
there's
see a
nothing new under the
storyline,
sun.
and we see a storyline, and we want like, what way would I tackle it? How would I tell a story with this theme in it, for example?
Yeah,
Um, a lot of the things that kind of like inspire me, and I think this is a good thing because it took me away from like the general Japanese anime, American cartoons, or Superman and Batman and those type of things that I kind of really enjoy. The Marvel movies was when I had to sit down and read a lot of the South African stories, and at times it might come across very daunting and boring, but if you have a creative mind and you can kind of really look at the story as something that you can fantasize and kind of create something around, um, I ended up being a lot inspired by South African, weirdly, so just South African history stories.
mm.
And you're looking at historians and writers, there are fictional writers that would, can't remember the story. There's fictional writers that write on like South African themes and topics, and being in university sort of forced me to look at like these sort of stories, which I never would have paid attention to because my world and my life before then was just anime and cartoons and TV series that were produced overseas.
Mm.
Not to say that I'm not influenced by those media. So things that like heavily influence me, of course, is like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, specifically Naruto.
Mm.
Um, what else? I guess I know this. I love this, so I'm just gonna say it. Superman, Batman,
Mm.
Deadpool. I really dug, um, and Doctor Strange.
Mm.
Those are that I really enjoy pulling from. Then stories, if I'm not taking too long, is really Harry Potter.
Okay.
Age Chronicles. I don't know if you've ever read that book. It's similar to like teenage, what's the word? Young adult kind of novels, but it's very fantastical. It's about
Mm.
this story where the world is basically just a cliff in the sky, and
Oh, I see. Yeah.
uh, like forest and stuff. It's all like the world that people know is on this cliff, and then stories kind of happen on the cliff. and
Yeah.
it's a long series of books of like generational. So I think things like son, then grandfather, then uh, niece or something like that. It's just all on the screen, which is weird concept, but it's also cool. Narnia, one of them.
Mm.
Um, I can't think of any like really non-fictional books besides this. So yeah, all of those type of stories combined to create to influence me. A lot of the personality traits of my characters are the people that, well, firstly my own head's nonsense, and then characteristics, personalities, and then family members. Like one of my characters, Senzo, uh, you know, show you the character, but he's this guy over here. Uh,
Yeah, I'll probably show it on my camera.
you
But
know,
Senzo's the dude with the black shirt, right?
yeah, the Shinzo the dude, the black shit. And
That dude.
his
That dude is
personality,
Senzo.
like, it's not 100% like half apart, that's the right word, but like um, his evolution has so much strong connection to like elder cousin of mine, who I feel
Mm.
has kind of always been like a big brother to the rest of the family,
Mm.
and so his personality kind of swings through that character, and so yeah, even
Yeah,
family.
yeah. I did like at part, yeah, like in the description at the end, I think of
Mm.
issue 2, you have like a description of each character, and you just say like
Yeah.
Senzo is wisely stern, that did come through in the story.
Yeah, that's
Um,
pretty much my
but
cousin.
before we get actually into Siri Watu, I wanna find out a bit about how like Awali Studios came together. Like, what's the story behind that?
No, it's a weird story. Maybe it's not as weird, but so about how old am I? I'm about 26 now. So what, 10 years ago, I think. No, not 10, 14, 15 years ago. I think I was 12 years old, and I was working on this novel. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, I was working on this novel, and in my spare time, I wouldn't go to parties or like the club or whatever teenagers were doing that back then. I would sit on weekends or after school, instead of doing my homework, I would write this novel that I always wanted to like finish and like have be one of the great novels that come out of South Africa. That's fantastic. And I wrote that continuously until I think the age of 17, so from 12 to 17 or 16.
Mm.
And I kept changing things up, redoing things, writing chapters, 2 chapters here, redoing it.
Mm.
And my whole family already knew that I was doing this.
Mm.
And my uncle comes up to me one day, and he's at that point studying animation, 3D animation, and he's not capable of writing a story, but he has an idea that he wants to throw at me. And he says, like, he knows I've been writing for so long, and he says, I'm the only writer he knows. So he comes to me with a story of creating, the characters' names are not the same as they are now, but he comes to me and he tells me, he wants to create something that has like 5 or 4 or 3 or some amount of teenagers that sort of speak to um, not just the youth, but like the young adult, like people my age right now, I guess.
Mm.
And he doesn't know what to do, but all he knows is he watched Captain Planet, and even though it's cheesy, the themes and concepts of what he was looking at. And I didn't completely watch all the episodes of Captain Planet, I'll be honest with you, but when I was growing up, I watched 1 and 2, so I kind of got what he was talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, literally, on the doorstep of my mother's house, um, one evening, my uncle and I were just throwing ideas on what Siri Watu is. And I sort of thought to myself, you know what, I can take this, I can create something that is unique, but also follows along the idea of teamwork. Specifically, teamwork was one of the things that we kept from Captain
Mm.
Planet, I guess.
Yeah.
And I threw ideas about how the characters should kind of look and who they should be. And I mean, that changed over the years, obviously, but from there, from 17 years old, probably supposed to be doing my studying in high school, my maths and science and all that kind of very important things at the moment. I sat instead writing Siri Watu, and I in that year, I think it was before my matric year ended, I had come up with about 17 loose episodes of a fantastical series that no one would pick up at that moment. And I gave it to him, and it was really bad. Really, really bad.
As all first
Really
attempts
well.
are, yeah.
The first round was really bad. So he gave me some notes and he told me, okay, so I like the idea of where you're going, but we need to work on it so much more. And over the next period of about 3 years, I worked out the names of the characters, which is Diallo. It wasn't a Yanda at that point, but that name changed. But so it was Diallo, Senzo, and Zito, whose names are solidified back then, and their characteristics and who they were and the interactions. I developed that over the 3 years of being outside of university. I'm sorry, outside of high school, and then this is a very long story.
No, it's
and
interesting.
then
Yeah.
and then about I think 5 years into 4 years into actually finally finishing the animation. Not the anim- sorry, the script of the story and who the characters are and where they're going and who's connected to them and what the story is about and all the secret stuff that's not yet in the book. All of that sorted out in 3 or 4 years. We were ready to kind of show people, but we weren't done yet. So we created this clip. I don't know. I think you saw it. We created it years ago, and I cut it down to a small 30-second or 1 minute kind of clip.
Oh yeah.
We have dialogue or dialogue, as some might say, fighting this robot. This is a random robot. There's nothing to do with the series.
Yeah. It's kind of has nothing
And
to do with the comic.
yeah, we wanted to test out what we could do with a system
With
that
animation, yeah.
yeah, that my uncle was working in place as I was working in the script. And that clip with the system that we were working on, aside now from actually producing the settings, which took probably like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 months, took us about 3 weeks to put together. And it's a longer clip. We actually have a 4 minute clip that I cut down. I didn't think the others were important, but I will probably release that later online. Anyway, so when we had that, we started showing people, and it was like, this is the script, this is the animation that we wanting to produce. And around us, the people that looked at it were really, really like impressed. I don't know if that sounds weird, but yeah, they're very happy with what they saw. So two other people came on board, and they were eager to be a part of this project that we had going. And that, I think, we started the company before then, but that was like kind of officially, okay, it's not just two artists that kind of know nothing about business, know nothing about anything. Now we have these two people that actually know what they're doing, and that kind of feels like the start of what Awali Studios is. 2 years later, 3 or 4 years later after that, with the story and the character designs and scene setups, I came together with a friend that helped me produce the first two comic books, and that's that. That's where Wally Comics kind of started 2 or 3 years ago. And Wally Studios started about 10 years before. That was a long story. I'm really sorry about that.
No. I mean, that's what you're here for, to tell me your story. So, it's really fascinating and interesting. So how did you get together then with the illustrator? What's the story with development?
So my original illustrator was a friend of mine actually, and we had for years when I started Awali Studios. We had for years put around, or we spoke many times about like doing comics and doing manga and doing our own stories. And at the time, Siri Watu was kind of off limits. We didn't ever think of it, kind of off limits, only for the idea that it was kind of, we're going to do an animation and this doesn't really be a comic book or manga or anything like that. And I was cool with that. So we came up with a few other stories, but none of those stories ever went anywhere. And about, I think, a year and a half ago, no, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, a friend of mine, he had lost his phone. Basically, Duvan had lost his phone, so he stays in PE, so we had no way of contacting each other. And like 2.5 years ago, he got himself a phone again, and he basically spoke to me again about comic books. And like, dude, we need to get this together. This is my dream. I want to really get my dream going. And I was like, I really like that. And I was like, I never thought about the comic book manga scene. And then currently we're working on a kind of an official teaser or something. I can't really speak about that. But
no spoilers.
So working on something official that is related to the Siri Watu project. And it looks really cool. Actually, I wanted to say something online other than I'm not sure if you already do that.
Just chill.
But anyway,
just chill.
So like, relax. Let's just wait until it is further along. But so we were working on an official, basically, teaser to show you. Okay, so this is what Siri Watu is, which will look, I hope, much better or slightly better than the thing that we did about 6 years ago. And when I was working this, I realized that I needed to do something that would showcase the people that's down in Joburg that's working on it currently, like how I would like the scenes to be set up. Because I directed the first clip and they really liked it, and I have some film experience. Like I had a short film that played in encounters and stuff like that. And so they decided, okay, so I'm going to take reign of the directing because I already know the stories, I know the character, I know how I want to see the scene shot, and they want me to do it again. But because of the kind of the you in Joburg, I'm in Cape Town kind of thing, it was kind of difficult to always communicate that. And I was really, really busy with university work at the moment. At that point, still am. But at that point, and I couldn't go down to Joburg to spend like a month or two or whatever to just sort out the slip. So what I did was I told my friend that he should come down to Cape Town for like a month, and if he has the time, and then we work on just a storyboard on this teaser that I have in mind and I want to show the guys. And I said, you know what, I'll pay you for that work that you do, and then if things go well, I really want you to stay on board if the project gets bigger. And then before he did that, I kind of wanted to push him to like have a good style that we can work with and see where it goes. So what he did, first he came down and then we worked on it, and I was like, I really like what I'm seeing, and it looks like an anime kind of manga kind of vibe. And I was like, this doesn't have to be just a storyboard, right? It doesn't have to just be what it is. So I pushed him a little harder. So I said, like, let's work on this a bit more. Let's work on the graphics. Let's actually produce more. What's it called? Thumbnails, not thumbnails. Brackets. I don't know what we call those things. Panels. There we go.
Panels.
That's how. Yeah. So that's how the first manga came to existence. So what would happen is I would do additional illustrations on top of these illustrations as well for like the first book and third third book as well. But yeah, for the first book. And so while he was doing that illustrations, I was learning illustrations as well, and we were kind of creating a style. And about 6 months later, after Van had come down, we had created the first Siri Watu. And again, it's a very long story, but yeah, kind of wanted to get it over there.
No, it's fine. So why don't you then give us a quick description, the old elevator pitch of the story of Siri Watu?
You have to do it. Let me do it. So, let me tell you the tale. Siri Watu, Descendants of Africa. It follows dialogue of fiery-hearted. The calculating cynicist, Zeta the quiet, the fierce, and Simzo the wisest. As I learned that they might be part of a secret group of people that went silent and disappeared into exile long ago by a quirky old man who possibly seems bent on destroying them just to turn them into the people that he thinks they are. The descendants of Africa. Here we go. My elevator pitch.
Yeah. Pretty cool. I like the voices. Very dungeon mastery. So then, I believe you're self-published then, right? You don't really have a publisher. How's your experience being self-publishing in South Africa?
It's been quite an experience, I'm not gonna lie. So through the self-publishing, kind of money on printing, your own money on everything. You have to make sure that your book is set up with quality. You have to get to know this person and that person and network really well. And a lot of that, I mean, I'm so lucky to know people before I even started the manga, to know people that are in the industry that can give me the best prices, that can give me all of that. So like on a business point of view, it's been an interesting experience to the point where, yes, we sold I think we sold about 2,500 books now, if I'm not mistaken, in the year impressive. That we've been doing this. Yeah. And thanks, man. But there's always continuous expenses, so it's not like I'm sitting on a swath of cash because I'm self-published.
Of course,
it's not like I'm sitting on enough money.
It's still very indie.
Next That's very much, but it's only been a year and a few months now, so a year and a half, just over a year and a half, and I hope for the next 2 years I can say that self-publishing has been the best idea possible. But I am looking at different avenues for the next.
Yeah. Well, what's kind of like the percentage of like online sales versus sales like at a convention or in person? So is online sales increasing over time?
Online sales are pretty much very quiet. I'll be honest with you. We find that bookstores and exhibits are the places that are faster. I'm not really the greatest at online marketing. Just speaking business wise, I don't generally promote the online side of it a lot. So I would say online sales are extremely very slow. We get sales now year in there, maybe a week. Every day, but like it's not as fast as you would assume it to be. But that could also be because the platforms that I use currently are like very unknown. So I use something like Gumroad, and absolutely no one knows what Gumroad is.
I do know about it, but I don't hear anybody like speaking about Gumroad. But like I do like I've seen it a couple of times. So then. What other platforms do you sell on beside Gumroad? Are you on Amazon or anything like that?
Honestly, it's really the only thing I've actually put is Gumroad at the moment. But just 2 months has been my thesis, so I haven't really looked deeply into the other platforms yet. Though I do definitely think that they will be on the other platforms very soon. It's just the
Soon.
reason I put it on Gumroad was because there are a few people that prefer the online experience. Only reason I have it on platform at the moment is just so that the people that really want it, they can get it through Gumroad and they just ask me, and I'm like, here's the link, you can go download it there. And the first one at the moment is absolutely free, so go and do it for yourself. But I definitely am looking at other platforms because kind of an important thing to this important thing. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Important thing if you kind of want to bring in sales.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the South African insert is trying to fight me once again. So just before we before we wrap up, let everybody on the channel out there know where to find you and your work.
Awesome. So you can find me on Awali Comics on Facebook. Everything is there. Again, if you do want to test out what Siri Watu is and you actually want to know what I'm speaking about, it's absolutely free. You can just find it on our Facebook page. It's the first post that's links to the Gumroad. It's a very legit site. Don't scare it. And it's free, so you're not going to be spending any money. And if you like it and you want to know more, the other books are there on Gumroad as well. But anyway, you can find me on YouTube at also Awali Comics, and in Instagram at Awali Comics. So all of them, Awali Comics.
All right, cool. So thanks for coming through, Ziyaad. It was a fun chat, and thanks to you, the people at home, for listening. And do go and check out Siri Watu. I don't think you will regret it. And otherwise, that's it from us. So otherwise, stay geek inspired, stay tuned, and cheers.
Bye bye.